After making its debut on the FIM Motocross World Championship calendar to close out the 2024 season, the Spanish venue of Cozar once again welcomes the Mxgp Elite back to Europe for the second round of the 2025 season, the Mxgp of Castilla-La Mancha. Located in the landlocked autonomous community of Castilla-La Mancha, the track has undergone significant modifications since last year. It is part of the Circuito Motor Ranch, situated approximately 240 kilometers south of Madrid and 130 kilometers west of Albacete. Last season, a massive crowd filled the venue, cheering home hero Jorge Prado to victory in the Mxgp class as he secured his fourth world title. In MX2, Lucas Koenen put on a dominant performance, winning all three races, but ultimately, it was Kay de Wolf who emerged as the world champion. This year, following the season opener in Argentina, the championship picture in both Mxgp and MX2 is shaping up to be highly competitive, with multiple riders in contention for the title. MX2 Moto 1. As the gate dropped for the first MX2 Moto, it was Zanchi who took the whole shot, leading the field ahead of Everts, Benistant, De Wolf, Reysulis, Lata, Valin, Prugnieres, Bracheras, and Lengenfelder. Adamo found himself in trouble early, crashing and falling to last place, while Fares also struggled at the back. Koenen started in 16th, with McClellan in 13th. During the opening lap, Lata lost a few positions as Valin and Reysulis made their way past him. By the end of the first circuit, the order stood. Zanchi leading, followed by Everts, De Wolf, Benistant, Valin, Reysulis, Lata, Oliver, Lengenfelder, and Braceras. Adamo managed to climb to 19th, while Fares settled into 20th. Up front, Zanchi looked comfortable, riding smoothly and maintaining control, while Everts kept steady in second place. By lap 3, Zanchi had built a 3.4-second lead over Everts, with De Wolf trailing in third, 20 seconds behind the leader. Langenfelder suffered a costly mistake and dropped to 7th after a fall, allowing Oliver and Prugnieres to pass him, though he quickly recovered to 8th. Meanwhile, Koenen moved up to 12th, Adamo to 13th, and Fares to 16th. Zanchi continued to extend his advantage, stretching the gap to 6.3 seconds on lap 5. De Wolf, however, found himself 28 seconds off the leader's pace, making his bid for victory increasingly difficult. Benistant sat nearly a minute back in 4th, followed by Langenfelder, Prugnieres, Valk, Lata, McClellan, and Koenen rounding out the top 10. Disaster struck for De Wolf as he crashed twice, though he still managed to hold on to third place. However, the crashes effectively eliminated his chances of catching the leaders, and Benistant began applying pressure, though he remained 10 seconds behind. In the final laps, Zanchi solidified his dominance, stretching his lead to nearly 15 seconds. The Italian HRC rider delivered a masterclass performance, taking a well-deserved victory ahead of Everts and De Wolf. Mxgp Moto 1. In the first Mxgp Moto, Fernandez seized the whole shot, while Koenen suffered an early crash in the first corner, and Guadagnini failed to even make it out of the starting gate. Koldenhoff slotted into second place, followed by Hogmo, Geiser, Vlaanderen, Jonas, Gifting, Fevre, Van Horebeek, and Nickel in the top 10. Koldenhoff briefly took the lead, but Fernandez quickly regained control. Meanwhile, Renault, struggling with a poor start, found himself back in 13th. This put his red plate in jeopardy as Geiser, now in second place, looked poised to take over the championship lead. By the end of lap 1, the running order was Fernandez leading, followed by Geiser, Koldenhoff, Jonas, Hogmo, Vlaanderen, Gifting, Fevre, and Nickel in 10th. Vlaanderen soon advanced into 5th, overtaking Jonas. Geiser, displaying his trademark smoothness and speed, wasted no time closing in on Fernandez. Within moments, the lead was up to 2 seconds, with the Slovenian rider showcasing his dominance in these challenging conditions. Renault, still stuck in 11th, struggled to make up ground, losing valuable points to Geiser, who seemed destined to claim the red plate by the end of the moto. Fevre advanced into 7th, while Ducati riders faced immense difficulties, with Guadagnini languishing in 28th and last place, and Siwa down in 19th. As the race progressed, Vlaanderen continued his charge, moving into 4th by overtaking Horgmo. Meanwhile, Koenen, determined to recover from his poor start, climbed into 16th place, working his way through the field. Renault made steady progress as well, moving into 9th after passing Bonaccorsi, while Koenen followed closely behind in 15th. Geiser, riding with confidence and control, continued to widen the gap, leading by 6 seconds over his teammate Fernandez. With every passing lap, his dominance became more apparent. By lap 10, the margin had stretched to a staggering 27 seconds over Fernandez, while Vlaanderen, who had worked his way back into 3rd, trailed by nearly a minute. Koenen, now in 9th, set his sights on Bonaccorsi in 8th as the race entered its final stages. Meanwhile, Geiser, in full command of the race, was lapping riders at an astonishing rate, even catching Siwa, who was running in 15th. In the end, it was a flawless performance from Geiser, who cruised to victory in dominant fashion, further cementing his claim to the red plate. Fernandez secured 2nd place, while Vlaanderen completed the podium in 3rd. With the European leg of the season now in full swing, the Mxgp of Castilla-La Mancha delivered thrilling battles, stunning performances, and set the stage for an intense championship fight in both the Mxgp and MX2 classes. The excitement is only just beginning. MX2 Moto 2 saw Liam Everts dominate from the start, grabbing the early lead ahead of Kade Wolf, Camden McClellan, Guillaume Fares and Thibault Benestant. Rounding out the early top 10 were Simon Langenfelder, Cas Valk, Andrea Adamo, Ferruccio Zanchi and Julius Mikula. The opening lap saw Husqvarna and Triumph machines securing the top 4 spots, with Everts quickly pulling a 4.6-second gap over De Wolf, while McClellan found himself trailing by 6.4 seconds and Fares 9.6 seconds behind the leader. As the race progressed, Adamo managed to make a decisive move past Benestant as the track conditions worsened, muddy yet sunlit, creating treacherous terrain. Benestant, struggling with the demanding surface, ran off the track, losing positions to Adamo and others. Meanwhile, Quentin Prunier made an impressive charge, overtaking Sacha Koenen and pushing the young Belgian further down the order. Koenen, battling the conditions, suffered another crash, dropping him to 15th place. By lap 2, Everts had significantly extended his lead to 9.4 seconds over De Wolf, with McClellan now trailing by 13 seconds. Further back, Benestant's struggles continued as he went down, dropping him to 13th. Everts continued to set a blistering pace, stretching his advantage to a staggering 18 seconds over De Wolf, showcasing incredible control and precision despite the challenging track conditions. Langenfelder, completely covered in mud, rode admirably in 5th place after recovering from an earlier fall, while McClellan also fell victim to the conditions, crashing and slipping back to 18th place. As the 3rd lap unfolded, the top 10 consisted of Everts leading the charge, followed by De Wolf, Fares, Adamo, Langenfelder, Valk, Pruniers, Latta, Mikula and Oriol Oliver rounding out the top 10. Everts, riding flawlessly, continued to widen the gap, increasing his lead over De Wolf to 30 seconds. The defending MX2 champion found himself unable to match the Belgian's pace, while Fares held strong in 3rd, albeit 54 seconds off the lead. Adamo, pushing hard, began closing the gap to Fares, with both riders comfortably ahead of Valk in 5th by a margin of 14 seconds. By lap 8, Everts' lead had grown to a staggering 38 seconds, with Adamo securing 3rd place, though he was now an astonishing 1 minute and 11 seconds behind the dominant leader. The running order further down saw Valk in 4th, followed by Fares, Langenfelder, Pruniers, Oliver, Mikula and Latta in 10th. Meanwhile, Zanchi, recovering from an early setback, had climbed up to 12th place, determined to salvage his podium chances with a relentless charge through the pack. In the end, Everts crossed the finish line with a commanding victory, holding more than a minute's advantage over De Wolf, who had no answer for the Belgian's superior speed and control. Adamo rounded out the podium in 3rd, while the defending champion De Wolf, along with former MX2 world champion Adamo, had to acknowledge that Everts was simply on another level on this day. His dominant performance solidified his status as a serious title contender, leaving his rivals searching for answers as the championship battle continued.
The second moto of the Mxgp class at Castilla La Mancha delivered an intense battle on the demanding, muddy terrain. The race started with Lucas Koenen surging into the lead, followed closely by Jonas, while home favorite Ruben Fernandez suffered an early setback, crashing in the second corner. Meanwhile, red plate holder Maxime Renault found himself buried in the pack, sitting in 17th place. Koenen's time at the front was short-lived, as a costly mistake saw him go down, allowing Tim Geiser to seize control of the race. Once out front, the Slovenian star was untouchable. With the track conditions deteriorating, several riders struggled, including Jago Geerts, who also went down in the treacherous mud. Geiser, however, thrived in the tough conditions, immediately stretching out a commanding lead. By the end of the opening lap, the leaderboard read: Geiser in first, Koldenhoff in second, followed by Jonas, Koenen, Bonacorsi, Febvre, Bogers, Gifting, Koch, and Sewer. As the race progressed, Geiser continued to pull away, his superior control in the deep ruts proving decisive. His lead ballooned to 10 seconds early on, with Jonas and Koenen battling fiercely behind Koldenhoff for the remaining podium spots. However, Koenen's race unraveled further as he suffered another crash, dropping valuable positions. Gifting, too, found himself off track as the tricky conditions continued to claim victims. Meanwhile, Renault struggled to make significant progress, lingering outside the top 10 in 12th place. Other notable names, including Calvin Vlaanderen and Fernandez, also had difficulty navigating the challenging circuit, sitting in 16th and 13th, respectively. By the halfway point of the race, Geiser's dominance was clear. His lead over Koldenhoff extended to 16 seconds, with the Fantic duo continuing to hold strong behind him. Febvre and Jonas occupied 5th and 6th positions, while Gifting, Guadagnini, Koenen, and Renault rounded out the top 10. With each passing lap, Geiser's lead only grew, stretching to an incredible 25 seconds by lap 8. At this stage, the race order remained relatively stable, as the grueling conditions made it difficult for riders to mount any serious challenges. The Slovenian kept his composure, expertly managing his advantage to cruise across the finish line and claim victory in dominant fashion.